Where is BravoCon?
Nice.
I didn't even know it was happening. I'm shocked at myself.
It's in Las Vegas.
That's why I don't know, because I don't care.
I want to go to Vegas now because I want to see that big
orb
LED screen.
Yeah,
it
me
looks
too.
so-
I've never
looks so
wanted to
cool.
go to Vegas before, and now that I see that orb, I want to see the giant orb. That's
I
awesome.
want to pray before the orb.
That's
I'm
the
gonna
kind of
follow
thing.
the orb.
Yeah,
Wherever the orb goes.
for me too. That's the kind of thing that cities should be spending money on, in my opinion. Is just like big,
Orbs.
absurd monoliths. That's really cool. Yeah,
Nothing's better than a big thing, you know?
a big thing that glows, that
Especially
judges you, that
Yes.
can see your soul and your thoughts.
Yeah.
Nothing
If you
better.
touch it, it shows the world what your
It shows
biggest
how you
fear
die.
is. Yeah. And it's always by orb. It's always at the orb's hand.
Everybody gets the same reading. Death by orb on November 12th, 2024. It's probably a glitch.
Hello and welcome to the Bravo Outsider Podcast. I'm your host, Craig Midwinter. Today we've got a dream team assembled. I am joined by not only Dylan Ferguson, but also Sandy Cloak. How's it going, everyone?
Great.
Going great. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm happy to record from this
So
echoey
enthusiastic.
chamber. Yeah. Thanks for dragging me out. Great.
What you
the
can't see
laugh-
is Craig is pointing a gun at both of them.
That voice you're hearing is none other than the first guest we ever had on this podcast,
Wow.
Tim Gray.
That's right. I'm back and I'm bitter than ever. I've got some things to say, and you're about to hear them. Tim out.
Wow. So what are the things you have to say? Let's just lead off with that.
Yeah, well, out of the gate, I'm going to start off with hello. I'm going to follow that up with how are you?
Oof.
And the third
Temperature's
thing
rising.
is thanks for having me back.
Boom.
Boom. Now suck on that lemon.
Well, we're glad to have you back. So is that the extent of your notes this week?
Basically, yeah, that's what I'm still running on Windows 95. So I was trying to do the homework on my Windows 95, but I was also downloading something on Napster. So it just kept crashing.
Yeah. Well, unfortunate to hear, but you are able to talk with us about Below Deck because
Yes.
you're a fan, or you've seen Below Deck before, at least.
I've seen season upon season. I went through a below deck phase where I had to watch it all as soon as possible.
Okay.
You know, you get one season into a show like that and you're like, well, I got to see who else has sex, you know?
Who else gets fired?
Especially when the captain changes and, you know, well, where are they going to dock to? Where are they going to dock next? Who's going to be the next guest? How much tips are they going to make? Ooh, who's going to get too drunk?
Well,
You know what? You know what's terrible about watching that show? Half the time I'm like, just do your fucking job, all right? Why aren't you on deck? Yeah, that obviously that needs to be cleaned up. Why is she the only one working?
Well, we'll save that for when we get into Below Deck, but we've got a whole lot to talk about today. So, first off, we've got BravoCon is this week. It's something that I think a lot of the fan base is pretty excited about. Tickets were like, they sold out so quickly. It's in Vegas. Sandy, you're obviously not at BravoCon. You're here with us. What's your take on
Vegas.
BravoCon?
The door opens behind her and it's just all Vegas. Like she's in the middle of a casino.
Just the orb staring through a window.
Yeah. Sandy. Sorry.
My take on BravoCon. I was really into going when it was in New York. I don't want to go to Vegas. Don't know what their plans are for the future. I'm out of the loop this year, but I would 100% go me and Craig's family had a very tentative plan to have me, Craig, and his wife, who's also a big fan, go to BravoCon while my husband watched all 4 of our kids on leashes in New York. That didn't happen yet, but I have hope. So,
yeah. New York is a really safe city for 4 kids and one person watching them.
Leashes,
yeah. Or duct tape 1 kid to each limb.
That's a good idea. The littler ones, as long as you've got
like a below deck kind of like hierarchy where one's in charge of the other, and they they adhere to the chain of command, you're good.
Yes, you're good. That would be so fun to do in New York City. That I feel like that adds a lot of class to the whole Bravo world,
Exactly.
Vegas makes sense too, because it is where you do big cons,
right.
That's where famously Ocean's 11 was shot. That was one of the biggest cons.
Oh my God.
He's keeping that under his Blue Jays hat.
Feel free to kick me out anytime.
Dylan, how about you?
Move the gun towards me.
I'm pretty out of the loop about those kind of things. So I don't know. I think it's cool that it's in Vegas and they get to ponder the giant orb. But otherwise, I'm waiting for you, Craig, to tell me all about it.
Okay, well, we'll get into that. Have any of you guys ever been to like a fan convention like this?
No.
I've been to a Comic-Con situation in Winnipeg.
Oh yeah.
I think I had a friend that had maybe JD had a booth there or something like that. I think we got some free tickets somehow finagled, maybe through a radio station. And that's fun. It's just cool to see. And I think I did an improv show once at a Comic-Con in like some character. That's fun to see people so enthusiastic about something they really care about, all getting together and hanging out. And then, it's obviously some weirdos, but you get them everywhere. So, I'm curious how they would do a BravoCon.
Let's get into it. So we're going to put together a little bit. We're going to put together a Bravo Outsider Guide to BravoCon. I'm going to go through the schedule, just talk about each of the events that they have planned, and we're going to give them a rating out of 10 like we usually do. So it's a 3-day event starting off on Friday. It's going to open with an event called Ask Andy, which is described as get your piping hot tea from the man himself. Host, executive producer, and housewife whisperer Andy Cohen we will pepper your favorite Bravo daddy with a bevy of fun, hard-hitting, playfully shady questions before opening the floor and letting fans take the wheel. It's moderated by Jeff Lewis. Let's Tim, what do you think about that as an outsider? How stoked would you be to talk to the Bravo daddy?
I would be so stoked. Like from one daddy to another, I would be. I don't have kids, but I've been described on Grindr as a daddy. That sounds extremely exciting. Kick it off with a big tea spilling ceremony. With he's the guy on the inside, isn't he? He's like the one he's the top dog. He's the daddy, the Bravo daddy.
Yeah, that's why they call him that.
I wonder how close you can get to him. I wonder what he smells like. Probably smells great.
So they've actually got this on both Friday and Saturday.
Get out.
So we'll do a single rating for this because it looks like it's the exact same thing.
And do we know Jeff Lewis?
Yes, we do. So he had a home reno show on Bravo, I believe. And so, he's actually the moderator on the Friday version of this event. And then on Saturday, it is moderated by Rachel Lindsay, who I'm not sure if you're familiar, but she was the Bachelorette a couple seasons ago.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's cool. Couple good gets. What do you think? What do you think about these gets?
Yeah, give us a rating out of 10.
My rating?
Yeah.
Out of 10? Easy.
Yep.
6.9.
6.9. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, pitchfork.
Sandy.
I mean, I don't know what any of the other ones are, so I'm gonna have to recalibrate my scale, but I think that's like a 3 or a 4. He's not gonna give us anything. He's gonna be too put to it's it's just gonna be, and I don't know who those hosts are, and they don't sound interesting. So 3.
Yeah. Okay, so 3 for both. Tim, do you have a separate rating for the Friday or the Saturday one? 6.
Yeah, I feel like the Friday show is never as fun as you think it's going to be because people are getting off work, you know, they're only had a couple drinks. The Saturday show, that's going to be fun. That's going to be when it's going to get a little bit wilder. You might go a little bit off script on the Saturday one. Friday, he'll be figuring out what he's going to say.
Okay, what's your number? These numbers are very important, by the way.
Yeah, it's 6.69.
6.69
for
Friday, and then 6.9.
6.9 for Saturday. Yeah, 6.96.
Okay, Dylan, how about you?
Both zeros. Who gives a fuck? Like really, we want to hear from Andy. Okay, you hear from Andy. You hear from Andy all the time, and like you said, Sandy, he's very practiced and polished at this. It's not like he's gonna be he's gonna slip up and reveal some secret details. Obviously, fucking not. Like, who cares?
Yeah, this is pretty low for me. I will give the opening, since it's the opening event on Friday, I would give that a 2. But I'm going to give the Saturday event a 0 as well. You know what? I'm going to give it a 1.
Wow.
Oh, no. I'm going to downgrade to 0 because you have to probably wake up early for it. So, yeah. Scratch that. Okay.
But what if there's a world where he was up all night partying, you know, hangover style. He gets there. He's missing a tooth. He's got a face tattoo. Then that's got to bump it up to a 3 or 4, right? Totally unhinged Andy.
In that hypothetical, we'll invite you back to review this if that happens when it gets posted.
I will be all over.
The next event is called Bravo to Bravo Bosom Buddies. The closest duo from across Bravo are coming together to share what it's like living out their friendships in front of the cameras, highs, lows, that sort of thing. So on this panel is Shep Rose and Craig Conover from Southern Charm, Dr. Jackie Walters and Simone Whitmore. I'm assuming that's Married to Medicine, which I don't follow. Dorit and Kyle from Beverly Hills, and then Paige DeSorbo and Sierra Miller from Summer House. Sandy, let's start with you on this. What are your thoughts?
I guess it has to be more than 3 because I guess it's a little better than the first one, but I feel like I overvoted it. Is it going to be worse than 0 for both of you guys? Oh man, I like, without knowing if there's any actual good ones coming up, I'm struggling. But does this sound interesting? It's okay. Like, I think I prefer that than just listening to Andy. So 4, I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? That seems fair. Like, this is out of 10, right? Not out of 5. So
yeah,
that seems fair. Dylan, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a little more potential there for sure. A couple shows I don't follow, Dorit and Kyle's. Yeah, that'd be fun. Cool. But let's give it a 3. Could be fun, but probably nothing too surprising.
Oh, okay. And I'm going to give this one a 2. I have, I'm going to struggle to rate anything that has like Paige DeSorbo on it any higher than a 2 because I just I really don't like her unless Hannah Bernier is on it because I think she like bumps up the likability of Paige by a long shot. So
I don't think I knew that you disliked Paige so much. That's interesting.
Yeah, I do.
I love that.
And actually Craig Conover as well. I really dislike. So I think that their relationship is fake. Just that's my Bravo hot take. I think it's just for the cameras.
Whoa.
Like totally fake, like fully fake.
Oh.
Like not even fake.
They're not in the same room together. It's green screen.
Wow. A lot of people have been saying that about my relationship with Carmen Electra, actually. They've been
so you know how much it hurts.
Just photoshopped. Yeah. Just be wary about
accusations that it's just Photoshop in a cardboard cutout that you bought at Spencer's Gifts.
Exactly.
It must be so hurtful to hear that.
Just because she's holding the same bottle of Pepsi in every picture I take with her doesn't mean it's a cardboard cutout. God. I'm going to give it a 4.2.
4.2. Okay. Does it change anything if I tell you that this is moderated by Darren Karp?
Oh shit, Darren Karp. When did he get out of the water?
She.
Yeah, that's. Oh, I think my internet dropped out there. I meant to say something different. No, but is Hannah Bernier? Did you say Hannah? What? Hannah? What? Sorry.
Bernier.
Yeah, is she a stand-up comedian as well?
Yeah,
I know her. She's very funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, 4.2.
All right. Well, she's not on. She's not on that one, by the way.
Right, but she is a comedian.
Yeah, but she's not on this panel.
Right.
So, yeah. So,
but she's getting points for the panel because she's a comedian. Okay.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Yeah. 4.2. It is.
Okay.
Next up, Friday from 11:30 to 12:15. Magic Men of Jersey. The cast of Magic Mike Live will give some of the Real Housewives of New Jersey's significant others a run for their money. The Jersey men will take center stage when they learn some Magic Mike choreography, find out what it takes to be a Vegas performer. Some lucky fans will even have the opportunity to participate in the action with Joe Bonino, Frank Catania Sr., and Joe Gorga, moderated by Jerry O'Connell.
What?
Oh, what?
Dylan, what's your rating?
Is this going to be backwards? This is a full 10. Full 10. Yeah. I'm going full Russian judge. This is a 10.
Sandy.
I'm going to give this an 8 only because I don't want to see it, but I know that it's going to be a good show. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I'm like going
Yeah.
for the middle there. But that sounds like some entertainment value, and the fans are going to be pleased, and so that deserves a high rating.
Mm-hmm.
But I won't be there.
Tim?
10. I'm a little familiar with those Jersey boys. That sounds like a really fun time.
Yeah, this is also a 10 for me. I think it's this is the type of thing that I would love for all these events to be. Like, I don't care about a like panel where Shep and Craig or like Paige and Sierra talk about their friendships. I want to see them like have some fun with like the format, and that seems like it's going to be all energy. It's got like people that I feel like would be engaging in kind of an awkward way that I would like to see. And yeah, you've got your like Bravo's like go-to straight Bravo fan, Jerry O'Connell, moderating. So love it.
Jerry O'Connell, what the hell? From Sliders?
Yeah, from Sliders. And him and his wife are now on 2 different Star Trek series as well.
What?
So, yeah.
Wow. That'd be cool if they did a crossover where like he slided into the Star Trek universe and met his other character.
Yeah, you know, I am in both Jerry and Andy's DMs every day asking for that, but it just
Please.
Yeah.
Okay. Keep it up.
Next is Housewife to Housewife, Comeback Queens. Everyone loves a comeback. Bravo Labs from coast to coast come together to dish about their shared experience of leaving the show, their time away, and their triumphant returns. It's a panel featuring Tamra, Heather Dubrow, Taylor Armstrong, Cherie Whitfield, Carolyn Stanbury, and Alexia from Miami. Let's go. I'm going to rate this first. I think that this is like medium interesting. It's more interesting than Andy. I'm going to give this one a 4. Dylan, what do you think?
That's a pretty good lineup of personalities. It does feel a little bit like PR-ish to be like, here's people who left the show and came back are unhappy about it. But the personalities involved are pretty good ones. So I would be happy to see that. Actually, I would give that let's go with a 7.
7. All right.
Yeah.
Sandy?
Yeah, I'll give it a 6. Sounds okay.
And Tim?
I'm going to give it a 0. Big PR stunt. I don't like it. Stinks.
Karamo is moderating that one. The next is that's Emily Oroxo and Lauren Herbert. I'm not familiar with them. Next is Serving Up the Latest with Vanderpump Rules, presented by Lay's. After a scandal that jolted the zeitgeist, the cast is coming together to give fans a glimpse into where things currently stand and tease what viewers can look forward to in the upcoming season. We've got a lot of the cast for the upcoming season of Vanderpump Rules. It's got Lisa Vanderpump, Lala Kent, Sheena Shea, Brock Davies, James Kennedy, Ali Luber, Ariana, Tom Schwartz, Tom Sandoval, and Katie Maloney. Sandy, to you.
I love Vanderpump Rules, so I'm going to give that a 9 and hope for the best.
All right. Tim?
Yeah, I'm going to give that a 7 and hope for the best.
Dylan?
Well, it definitely sounds crispy and flavorful, and I think it might have a good crunch to it. So I think I also love Vanderpump, so would be excited to see anything. I'm a little bit hesitant about the upcoming season and like the direction that they're going to move into. So I'm like a little on the fence about where Vanderpump is headed. So that's going to prevent me from openly embracing what would otherwise be like the thing that I'd want to see most, which is the Vanderpump cast. So I'll give it like a 6 because of my hesitation.
Okay, I was in between you and Sandy with this, and I've got an 8 on this. I think like this, it would be something that I would be interested in seeing solely to help me like decide where I'm going to stand on this upcoming Vanderpump Rules season. Because as it is, like you, Dylan, I am not like so stoked about what is to come. But you know, you never know. This would really help give me the information I need to make a decision on that. Okay, so moving on, we've got The Way We OC It, which is maybe the worst title of an event here.
My God. Zero.
Orange County ladies take the stage to talk about the latest season and, you know, the usual shit. Taylor Armstrong, Shannon Bedore, Heather Dubrow, Vicky Gunvalson, Tamara Judge, Gina, Jennifer, and Emily Simpson. Moderated by Danny Pellegrino, who is a Bravo podcaster, social media guy.
Also heir to the Pellegrino franchise.
Yeah, Tim, what's your rating?
I'm gonna give that. You know what? I'm gonna send that one right down the middle of the road. I feel like if you're hungry, maybe you can get a little nutrition out of it. But anyways, go for it.
5. All right, Sandy.
Oh, I guess I'm interested to see what's going on with Shannon. I have heard some stuff about like a bunch of her BravoCon stuff not being canceled, or was it I'm guessing it was BravoCon stuff, just in the light of her DUI and getting sober. So that like intrigues me on how she's gonna be. I'll give it a 6.
6. Dylan?
Yeah, kind of intriguing, I guess. The last season of OC was like pretty good, but it's like, why is this different from just like replaying the reunion?
Yeah.
Like, 5.
Yeah, I will agree with Sandy. This is above a 5 for me, mostly because the reunion was shot prior to Shannon's DUI. So if this is an opportunity to at least like, you know, address that, then there's a little bit more interest there.
Was it leaving the reunion that she got the DUI?
No, it was I don't know. She had some sort of fight with her boyfriend, and her blood alcohol was like 3 times the limit, I think is what it said.
Oh yeah, you don't want to go more than 2.
That's what they say.
Next is The Summer House Always Wins, which is another bad title. Actually, it's The Summer House Always Wins, presented by State Farm. It may be the fall season, but things are sure to heat up when the cast of Summer House takes the stage to dish on their current dynamic as a group and unpack the latest in their lives. We've got a full Summer House cast here.
Like Lindsay and Carl?
Oh, yes. So it's Paige, Lindsay, Carl, Kyle, Danielle, Sierra, Amanda, Andrea is apparently back, I guess. Maya, Gabby, Samantha, and Chris Leone, who I don't even remember. And it moderated by Brian Moylan. Sandy.
Well, I can't stand Amanda, so as you can't stand Paige, as Craig well knows, so I would never go anywhere near her. So that's going to be like a 2. And also because I don't know, like other than, I guess the Carl and Lindsay thing is another recent breakup thing that we want to see play out. So that could be interesting, but that cast is like, as a cast, they don't interest me anymore. So, and I don't actually want Carl and Lindsay to be on the show, like unless they're having a crazy breakup. So TBD on how that show is going to be for me, but I don't know. It gets low marks.
We got a 2 here.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I am also going to put this at a 2, going with my rule regarding Paige DeSorbo. But also, you know what? I'm knocking this down to a 1 because I also really dislike Samantha from Summer House. I agree this cast is really stale. I want to give it more marks because Lindsay, I think in her prime, was one of the reality TV greats, but that is like a long time ago now. So there was a time where I thought that like promoting Lindsay to be a full-time housewife would be like how you would fix Real Housewives of New York. And I actually thought the same thing about Sheena when Vanderpump was like in a slump. Promoting her to Orange County or Beverly Hills would be the way to fix that franchise. But yeah, this is going to be a 1 for me. I don't think I watched the end of. I don't think I finished Summer House this past season, and I'm not looking forward to it when it returns. So that's a 1 for me. Dylan?
Yeah.
I don't follow Summer House, so I think my journalistic integrity is telling me to just say a 5. But the pun in the title is at least Vegas themed, so 5.5.
Okay, yeah. Wow. Tim?
Do you think it would be funny if there was a show called Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Ninjas?
I don't personally think so.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I just needed to ask somebody. You understand?
Yeah.
Not unlike I just took my sip of coffee in the morning. I am going number 2 on this one.
Okay. Next is Captain, our captains, all aboard everyone's favorite highest ranking officers open up their captain's log to reflect on the most memorable moments of the season. We've got all the captains here. Captain Jason, Captain Lee, Captain Glenn, Captain Carrie, and Captain Sandy. And it's moderated by Kate Chastain.
What?
Let's
I don't. I overreacted.
Let's start with you. Dylan.
I'm just getting more and more into Below Deck, and I think it rules. So this sounds cool. I like it. Let's give it an 8.
All right, Sandy.
I'm giving this a 2 because I don't like the captains on Below Deck. They're boring. I don't care what they think. I don't care what they have to say or anything about their lives. I want to see the people getting drunk and fighting. They don't really help with that. Once in a while, like Captain Sandy does do some really passive aggressive things that helps with the drama along, which I appreciate, but I think this is going to be super boring.
Okay, so 2 from Sandy. Tim, this is one you're qualified to give an answer on, I think.
Yes, I would like to hear Captain Sandy interacting with the other captains. I think it might be interesting to see because there is a level of ego. There is a letter, because they're like the bosses. So I wonder how they would all interact together. Maybe they have a little bit of drama between them. They play some passive aggressive stuff. Hopefully they're getting drunk. Maybe one of them has sex. I'm going to give it a 6.9.
Just one.
Okay.
By themselves.
Yeah. Maybe one of them starts pleasuring themselves. Who knows?
Can only hope.
Anything can happen.
You know what? I am going to also be a 6.9. I think that if they started pleasuring themselves, that would definitely bump it up a bit.
Noteworthy, yeah.
But Kate Chastain moderating this. You can't go wrong with Kate. She's one of the greats.
In the Chastain.
Very good. Okay, next is Viva Las Atlanta Peaches. This is another mouthful.
Yikes.
It's the Real Housewives of Atlanta panel. It's got Candy, Marlo, Kenya, Sanya, and Cherie. Dylan.
Yeah, I don't know. The last season was decent, I guess, but again, it's just like it feels like replaying the reunion when you just have the cast back again. So I mean, whatever. Like 5.
Okay, I'm gonna give this a 3 because I didn't see Drew on here, and so we won't get an awkward rendition of the song performed at us. Sandy, what do you think?
Yeah, 4, just kind of the same. Meh.
Tim?
I'm gonna go 4.2.
4.2. Okay, and then we've got a screening of the Real Housewives of Dubai season 2 premiere next. Tim?
That sounds like it's got as Winnipeg comedian Dan Verville would say, the stench of potential. Like it could be good. The stench of potential. I'm gonna give it a 6.7.
6.7. All right. Sandy?
Is this a thing that is common? Like it's an early screening, or what's special?
Is it like a red carpet event?
It's an early screening. Yeah.
Are they going to be there? Are they going to do a Q&A after? Is that kind of...
Okay, the description is, join us for an exclusive screening of the Real Housewives of Dubai Season 2 premiere episode. And take note, we want you to shine bright. So wear your best glittery gold attire, period, dot.
So they do want it to be kind of a red carpet thing. Like, let you have that Cannes vibe.
Yeah.
I don't know, 5.5. I don't quite get it. Maybe. I mean, it's watching a show. It's decent, I guess.
Dylan?
At least it has more potential to be like a social event, I guess, in that way. If they are going for like the screening vibes, maybe have some drinks afterwards, get to mingle. But I could catch it at home, and I probably won't. So 3.
3. All right. I am going to give this an 8. I'm going to give it the highest rating out of all this because this is fun for me. I don't know. You're there. You're taking in the vibe. You've spent a lot of money. So to like have this like kind of phony like red carpet premiere experience, I think is fun to indulge in this with people that are as excited as you are about this type of content. So this is the type of event that I would, that's what I'd be looking for.
I think you're right.
And then, go ahead.
Maybe I need to up mine. Can I change mine?
Yeah, you can change yours.
Give it 1 more point.
All right, 6.5.
Yeah, you know what? No, you convinced me too. Yeah, 3.1.
Oh, Captain, my captain.
Okay, and then to cap off Friday evening is an add-on experience. So this is a bonus. You need to pay additional on top of the regular ticket price. It's the Bravos. Join us for a night of glitz and glamour, honoring Bravo's most iconic stars with unforgettable awards. It's Bravo's biggest night. And there's like a list of nominees and categories that will be released October 5th. So they're out there somewhere. I haven't seen that and I don't have it here, but I guess you can probably anticipate what that would look like. Dylan, what do you think?
Yeah, I guess this kind of depends how it plays out. Like if there's going to be a Will Smith slap moment or something. Otherwise, it probably just feels like something you just have to kind of sit through. Awards shows, which I love, are insufferable and boring. I would probably give this like a 4.
4 it is. Sandy?
Yeah, 4.
Tim?
I'm going to give it a 1.69. I don't like award ceremonies. I don't think anyone should ever be awarded anything ever.
I'm gonna be just a little bit more generous. I think that this isn't as fun as the Dubai season 2 premiere, but it would be a fun social thing. Vicky Gunvalson is getting a Lifetime Achievement Award. So
okay, I'm in. I'm changing mine.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
What are you changing yours to, Tim?
I'm changing mine to a 6.
A 6. Okay.
Just because of that pun. that to me dictates that the tone of the evening will be silly and fun.
So we've spent a lot of time on Friday. I'm not going to go through the next 2 days because
the show will be 6 hours long.
This is getting too long. I don't remember there being anything like too like exciting on here, but I do think Hannah Bernier is at this, so that might be one to look out for. I think they're doing like a live podcast recording.
Nice.
So
is there any more Shannon?
Maybe that's fun.
Scan it for Shannon because I'm just curious what she's on board for.
Scanning for Shannon.
No, I think that's her only.
Must have been something else.
Panel.
You know what? There was like a Tres Amigos show that they were going to not cancel. Does that ring a bell, Craig? Anywhere? And there was like a controversy about it because people thought they should cancel because it's maybe alcohol based. Maybe it's like something totally unrelated.
Oh,
they have
yeah.
a show.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so they've got some sort of like improv comedy troupe, the Tres Amigas.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know if that was scheduled
for
BravoCon, but I think they did have like some sort of tequila sponsor that was associated for that.
Yeah. There we go. That's what it was. It's still on.
So we've got a lot of rating to do. I think the only other notable from BravoCon is like they're doing their Watch What Happens Live thing again at BravoCon. I don't know. I don't really have the FOMO that I did the first year that they did this, when it was like everyone was so enthusiastic and it seemed really energetic. This is just like all these panels seem really boring. So I don't feel like I'm missing out. Let's dive into some of our content, and then we're going to come back and rate some of the taglines for Potomac and Miami and Beverly Hills. But let's start with Below Deck Med. So Tim, you have some thoughts on Below Deck. What draws you to Below Deck as like a franchise?
I think at the time I was watching it, it was like there's something so beautiful about the show. I love the juxtaposition of like these beautiful shots of like the coasts of the Mediterranean Sea and these old ancient cities, you know, and then the next thing is like somebody barfing on this cobblestone road because they got too drunk or whatever at a party, or banging on a boat or whatnot. I you know, it's pleasing to watch for the scenery. And also the drama is like, how is it not going to be dramatic? You have these people making cash money. They're young, they're travelers. They're a lot of them are super hot, and they're just stuck in these tiny little boats. And the drama ensues. You know, I could never do that. I don't even know if I could ever sleep on a boat that's on the water overnight. You know, I think I'd be too scared. I'd be too scared of getting laid.
legitimate concern.
And the chefs are always pricks. You know, and the guests are always just such unique characters. I'm guessing they get like a discount or free travel to be on the show, and they're encouraged just to be the most opulent people possible. That's what it seems like, anyways. And then I also sometimes just get frustrated and be like, why don't you just fucking clean it? Why don't you just go to work? You know, you have responsibilities here.
Yeah, it's funny how watching the show really does give you like manager brain, while you're like, no, that was your responsibility. Why are you ignoring the chain of command right now?
Let's get into our highlights here. Dylan, what were your highlights for Below Deck Mad?
Lara, she's really funny to me. I just like how she's like being like, yeah, Natalia, I just want to like pull her hair. I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding. She's being like, you know, says that kiss. She kisses Luca, and she's like, it's like kissing your brother. I don't have siblings. I don't know if that sounds weird, whatever. And everybody's like fawning over a little kid, and they're like, "Oh, I want to have a little kid," and she's like, "I can't think of anything worse." She's just a really funny character to me. So my highlight is mostly just her presence. I just like how she like works hard, has like a very unaffected delivery, and is just like very funny to me.
Yeah, I still have trouble telling her and Haley apart. I think they look so similar. I just like, I don't know who's who on screen.
Right, until they speak.
Yeah.
Because these shows continue to be like the Avengers for the most annoying accents in the English-speaking world.
But yeah, I think that she's a compelling crew person. I like Haley a lot too. I think that she's pretty funny when she's on screen, unless it is Laura that I am thinking of. So, in which case, never mind. But she's got like the main beef with Max, right? It's Haley that has the main beef with Max.
They both do. I think Laura more so because especially now that Laura got like promoted, but I think Haley fucking hates him too. Easy to hate, and he's hilarious for that reason. Great guy. love a obnoxious French fuck who doesn't know how to work. He's hilarious.
Do you have any other highlights from Below Deck Med there, Dylan?
Oh, I think Natalia refers to having sex as dipping the doodle, which just reinforces my firmly held belief that Australians should be illegal.
There was another thing that Natalia said that stood out to me. She said she like guests were like praising to me, and she was like, "Oh, now I need a glass of chompers or something like that," which I'm assuming is champagne. But like, one, how come that's your go-to like stress drink? Like, pop a bottle, and two, like chompers.
Just the worst slangs, and nobody has worse slang than Australians. It's just they come up with the worst ways to say everything.
Sandy, do you have any highlights or anything specifically that stood out to you from Below Deck Med?
Well, as I've been complaining about, I thought this was a pretty low-key episode. I do love Below Deck generally, but I think my highlight was Jess going to the ER for her hangover or whatever, because there's no way she had a throat infection all of a sudden after like puking all night. I think that was like from that. So that's what I like. She took care. She did what she needed to do. But anyway, that was about it.
Yeah, I had note of that as well. It definitely was like going in for a hangover, nothing else. I also thought that this was more on the boring side. I did enjoy seeing like Roy Orbison Jr. back on the boat. I think, I don't know, it's kind of like a fun guest to have, and the fact that he brought on like a guy from Jackass is like really funny.
It is funny how they have like Roy Orbison's insane son and a guy from fucking Jackass who's like broke his back multiple times doing stunts on camera, and so far they seem to be like the most like good-natured and normal charter they've had this year.
Absolutely. And this is one thing. So as you saw as you were reminded of from the flashbacks, a few seasons ago, he was super drunk or whatever, out of control. And I think they're all like sober now because they were ordering like virgin drinks. And I don't know if we're getting into that article that we shared earlier, but it really speaks to like, we like seeing drunk people on these shows. And like, I'm willing to investigate what that means about myself because I feel that very strongly. And so when someone comes on and they're like, they used to be a drunk mess and now they're not, I'm like very disappointed. And so I don't know, like I have to engage with what that means for me and what I'm getting out of these shows. And that's what we're here for. But that was definitely part of the reason I didn't like this episode. Cause I'm like, I don't know, someone's got to be getting drunk or else I don't like it. Maybe like, I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point. And we did see a lot of the crew get really drunk on a short turnover. So I've got a lot of hope for that sort of activity on this season. But it didn't even register that they were ordering like virgin drinks. So I'm a bit disappointed to hear that. But yeah, I think that's a good point. That's gonna, that Vanity Fair article that we'll get into, and we might as well just get into it right now. The Reality Reckoning Vanity Fair article. It focuses a lot about how these productions handle alcohol and, where the responsibility lies between the producer and the on-screen talent and, the business itself. Dylan, Sandy, did you guys read this?
Yeah, it just came out today, so I did manage to read it quickly before the recording. I knew it was coming out, so I've been kind of looking forward to it dropping, and was happy to use one of my free articles with Vanity Fair to read it. But I thought it was pretty interesting. It was like, there's probably isn't a ton of new information for anybody who's been following this stuff. It's more like a lot of things that we already knew gathered together to make a case, but some things were kind of new that were interesting to me and helped me see some things in a different light. Like a lot of it focuses on Leah from her time with New York too. And I thought that was really interesting. Like we did cover the Ultimate Girls Trip that she was on, which is discussed in the article, because there was a thing in that where she talks on camera about feeling like she wishes she was there when her grandmother was dying in the hospital, and felt like that she was under pressure to film in the Hamptons when she was doing New York, even though she wasn't explicitly told that she had to do that. And I remember the way it was framed in the show that we got was kind of that Leah's being kind of ridiculous and like placing her guilt on the show, where there's like, she's no business blaming the show for that when they never explicitly did anything wrong. And I think when we talked about that on our show, I think I even like expressed that perspective. Like it's hard to see what Leah's even mad about here. But then in this article, we get what was really interesting for me is that they say that Heather did a confessional talking about that, where Heather, who is, obviously spent a lot of time thinking about, her separation from the Mormon church and how she has all these like internalized pressures that she puts on herself, and like trying to break free from like, internalized rules. And apparently Heather said like, if I was in the situation Leah was in, they wouldn't have needed to say anything. With the idea like they wouldn't have to explicitly tell me that we need you to be in the Hamptons instead of being with your grandmother. Like I would have forced myself to do it. And they didn't include that confessional in the show that they gave us. They did include multiple confessionals of people calling Leah ridiculous for like blaming the production. So that just was interesting, just in terms of thinking about how we get these like layers of reality in reality TV. And that's one of the things that's artistically interesting about it. It's like, oh, this is what's presented as reality, and this is the more real side behind it. But looking at it as a workplace, as an employer, and then when you see it as seeing these people's lives filtered through multiple layers of reality, the show, then there's the confessionals, and there's the reunion, there's Watch What Happens Live, there's BravoCon, and all of it is really being curated and presented by the employer, by the same employer. Then you start to see why this is a problematic situation too, because we're thinking of the reality and the behind the scenes stuff and what's actually real, all coming through the employer's perspective. And I thought that was an interesting insight into how that works, and why it's you could see why that's kind of part of the things that are problematic about how these shows are being made and marketed.
Yeah, totally. And there's also there's a power imbalance, like any employer-employee relationship that is there. And it was, it is good that they took it upon themselves, even if it was in the wake of knowing that this article was going to come out, but to like put some guidelines in place. But I think that, there are some voices that are like, oh, good, they're addressing this, but it's not enough to just like have the employer be the one that is, responsible for putting these guidelines in place and like leave it up to them to sort of self-manage that. It's essential that you codify these in some way that's either like legally through like actual legislation or through some sort of collective bargaining agreement within contracts, because that is a whole nother level of protection. And I don't think that there's enough, like you can't just fully rely on your trust in your employer in order to feel safe, being like, oh, well, there's guidelines and rules that are there to protect me, but those are all enforced by someone that has, or an organization that has its own best interests in mind, and they're not like won through collective bargaining or negotiations or through like lobbying to get laws in place.
Yeah, that's why Bethany's right. They do need a union. Like,
yeah,
that's what unions are for. Like, it's one thing for them for Bravo to be able to say like, oh, we provide resources. Yeah, but you provide it on your own terms, and there's no recourse if the resources aren't there when you need them. Like, if we recall back to Rachel's interview with Bethany, and she was saying that, she says that she was told that there was going to be like a mental health professional on set during the reunion, and when she went there wasn't one. So that just shows how, like, if there was like actual codified protections, you wouldn't just be relying on what they say they are going to do, or their generosity, or what they happen to do at the minute, instead of just letting them say, oh, we will make somebody available if we can, or whatever, if there's nothing preventing them from not holding up their end of the bargain, because there is no bargain.
Probably easy for them to treat them like disposable staff too, and there's a lot of turnover,
Well, yeah, and I think that's something you get in the article too, is just the way that people internalize this feeling of owing a lot to Bravo, because they're afraid that they won't get their contract renewed, they won't be brought back for the next season, they won't get to do Ultimate Girls Trip, which was dangled in front of them as a possibility.
Right. Did you read the line, if you go to the whorehouse, you're going to get fucked?
Yeah.
Right.
That was actually an interesting thing that got brought up in the article, where they're talking about how they kind of dangled that carrot in front of Leah about, come on to Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, and then, we'll get you on Legacy. Because I remember it was not too long ago, even just like a couple of weeks ago, there was all these like rumors going around that Leah was going to be joining the cast of Real Housewives of New York next season, which I don't know that there's any like teeth to that. But as soon as I read that, I was like, oh, I wonder if they were kind of dangling, a new season of Real Housewives of New York in front of Leah, in to try to negotiate some silence, because they knew that this article was coming out, and she's probably the most heavily featured in this article out of all of the housewife experiences that they talk about. So it definitely seemed like, that might have been something they were trying to like bargain for in order to kind of take some of the sting out of this article. But what were your thoughts, Sandy, on this article?
I only read maybe half of it. Didn't have time, but I have a question. I have a question for you guys. If they unionize, which is certainly fair from a labor perspective, how will that affect our product that we enjoy? How do you think that will affect it, if at all, I guess? Yeah,
I think my opinion is that it shouldn't have like a huge effect, because I think that, it is fun to watch them be drunk and destructive. But I think one thing that you said when you were on the show before, when we were watching like Aaron's event, that was kind of like a medium disaster. There is a lot of like small stakes, like petty arguing and just things that are on a whole not fully destructive that really give a lot of tension. And it's a lot. One of the things that I appreciate about reality TV is the fact that it's able to tell stories at like a variety of different scales. So there's like stories that have like very like low stakes. There's just like, you know, mild annoyances that kind of build up over time and, you know, fizzle out or come to a blowout. And then there's also these big like life changing momentum or momentous occasions that get chronicled, and we see how that impacts a character over, you know, a long term. And I don't think that protections for the people that are in front of the camera would hinder that to the extent that, you know, you might be fearful of just like looking at it kind of from the outset. I think it definitely would probably change the product a little bit, but the product is already changing and it's constantly changing. So I think that that's not necessarily, you know, a bad thing.
I think one thing that you've, sorry. I'm just going to say, like, one thing you've talked about, Craig, is how, you know, how people are obviously strategizing and playing, you know, this game to get a leg up, and people don't always know if they're going to be a housewife or a friend of, and all of that. And I don't know what like the stability of a union would do to some of that desperation that fuels it, which like Bethany talks about a lot, right? That kill or be killed, whatever. And it sounds so terrible to say like, I want to keep that, but that's sort of where I'm thinking, like, will it make it all just a baking show or something? I don't know, but it all evolves, I mean, like you said, you know, so.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think like, I feel like the way that most of these shows, maybe Below Deck being the exception, is that this cast, you might not know whether you're going to be a full like housewife or friend of, but you're kind of, you know, that you're going to be on the show for a season. And I think as long as like contracts are still negotiated on a season by season basis, there still would be that element, because that kind of sport to this is something that is very compelling. And to see people try to position themselves within like the edit, I don't think we need to lose that as a result of this. I think we'll find different ways that will like come out of the evolution in the format. But yeah, I think that's definitely like a valid concern.
Yeah, I don't think that it would affect the content that much. I don't see why it would that would have to be something to worry about too much. Like, I think you could have the union situation be very similar to like what athletes have. You know, like there are unions for athletes in their sport. Those athletes still have to fight for a spot on the roster. Like, it doesn't guarantee them a spot on the roster. They still have to earn it and fight for it, but they get certain protections. You know, if their contracts are terminated, their healthcare has to be guaranteed and stuff like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be something like, oh, you've got tenure now on the Housewives show. Yeah. And you know, these women want to put in a show too. That's why they're there. So I don't think it would be like, oh, we're now cozier in our job. So we're just like going to put in a boring show. Like, they, as much as the producers want to put on a show, I think you can do that, and you can have the show the producers want and the show that the performers want, with just a little bit more protection, and a little bit more protection that's legally guaranteed and not just at the discretion of the employer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough.
Mm-hmm. Did any of you guys get any sort of like insights into how the sausage is made from this article that were surprising in any way?
Yeah. Their thing that they said, what do they call it? Like hot notes or something, where producers will like hold up a phone with like huge letters that words, will. Yeah. That I did not know that. That would be like, bring up her drinking problem or something. Yeah. Just hold up like a little flashcard on their phone that says that. That was something I didn't know. That was pretty interesting to me.
That was something that I had not heard of and didn't realize was done. It was very interesting to see that, but also the idea of the producers sending out like these beat sheets to everyone prior to the shooting to kind of say, where things are at and what they would ideally like talk about. That was a lot more in line with what I had expected the process surrounding reality TV to look like, in terms of the hand that a producer had, as well as like, one-on-one conversations with producers. I thought one thing that was very interesting about that whole, like sort of seeing the process was how much agency the reality TV personalities had in terms of how they interacted with producers, because there was the story from the former like Real Housewives of New York producer that was brought on for a single season with Ebony, that like Ramona and Luann were able to just like ignore her and not return her calls or talk to her at all. They just like froze her out basically, which I didn't think was a thing that would be, possible or acceptable in, in the course of production.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. Just seeing that a bit about like her interactions with the cast, and also how like she like kind of apparently bonded with Ebony over the experience too, because they both kind of had, well, notably Ramona being kind of racist to them. And
not just kind of like
definitely being absolutely racist to them. Was an interesting window into the way that the relationships between the producers and the stars.
Yeah, on a whole, what do you think? Like, there will be any sort of reverberations from this article coming out?
I mean, I'm sure Bravo will continue to announce like more measures that they're bringing in, whether they're like actual real things or just like PR statements. Beyond that, I don't know.
Yeah, was it as damning as you guys thought this article was going to be?
No. Well, I mean, nothing like really explosive and new, in the sense that a lot of these things were, I think, the worst things, like Ramona being racist. Oh, did anything happen on your guys' end?
Nope.
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So for some reason, my page seemed to refresh, but it just didn't really. Sorry. I'll start that again. I guess nothing seemed really explosively damning or in like a new way. The worst things, like Ramona being racist, Leah kind of feeling pressured into starting drinking again. These were kind of things that we knew about already. I think the strength in it is just kind of putting it all together and make one consistent story out of it, which I think was well done by Anna Peel, the writer. But not an explosive new revelation, just kind of more like a summary of things that we knew, to paint a portrait of an industry that has some things that need to be corrected.
Yeah. Sandy, what about you? Was this kind of what you were expecting?
I think so. I honestly still have to finish it, but no, I think what Dylan said. It's always interesting to read these and get these little nuggets of new information and have it put together in a cohesive narrative, and it really does paint a picture. And as I said, I think for me, like, maybe this speaks to the half of the article I got to read, but it really does make me sort of think about the exploitation around alcohol, and it makes me uncomfortable because of how much I actually do enjoy that part of the show. Like, of course, there are other parts of it. I think most people have a challenged relationship with alcohol, and I think that's a lot more prominent in the sort of social narrative these days. A lot of people are stepping away from it or thinking about it more critically, and I think it's going to happen. It needs to happen. It needs to be thought about, how much we're relying on this really harmful drug, I guess, especially if it's being pushed or, people are being exploited with using that. So that is something that's on my mind, and how I interact with these shows and what I'm interested in getting out of them, and how that relates to my own, I don't know, relationship with it.
Yeah, I think that, the first half of it is like completely focused on, how alcohol is used as kind of a tool of the trade here, which is definitely like no surprise. And I feel like Bravo has kind of preemptively responded to that. Like, it seems like there's an uptick in housewives that have been cast that are sober, like on the New York reboot specifically, which is a Shed production, because that's where the the focus of the article was surrounding Leah and her relationship with alcohol mostly. So it seems like they have like taken measures to I guess kind of diversify the type of the type of spark that they are getting for these housewives. Like, not all of it is coming from being a messy or compelling drunk. So I think it definitely would probably make the job of a casting producer a bit more difficult, but I think that some of the best housewives that we have seen, like new housewives that we have seen, are sober. Like, I think Uba was great, and
she's the weirdest one on that show, and she doesn't need to drink to be weird.
Yeah. Gina like got sober, and I thought that she had a fantastic season, although I think I'm probably in the minority of people that feel that way, just gauging the temperature on the fan sentiment surrounding her. But I thought that she was great. I think it's like, it definitely is more challenging, but I don't think it's impossible.
No, I agree.
Okay, so we lost Tim to some technical difficulties, but that's okay because he hasn't watched any of the content anyway, so not missing out on much here. Let's dive into Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Sandy, do you want to get us started with your highlights?
Sure. So highlights or things of note. I really like Sutton. I don't know what the world thinks of Sutton these days, but I've always liked her.
Yeah.
I think she's pretty real. Yeah. She's cute. She's fun. I really liked her story about putting Jennifer Tilly's salted caramel in her ear because she thought it was a earplug. I thought that was lovely. That was a highlight. I was really interested. Go ahead.
No, I love Sutton. I think she's probably my favorite on this cast. Also, like, soft spot for cat people, which Sutton is a cat person as well as a horse person. So, yeah, and that she's friends with Jennifer Tilly, who I think is a badass as well. So, really love that they're best friends. I don't know how I didn't know that, but amazing.
I love surprise Jennifer Tilly, and she was great. I love when she's like, "You look so pretty," and Jennifer Tilly responds, "Thank you, that's my job."
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, totally.
But the conversation that we got from Sutton talking about like seeking financial freedom from her ex, I thought that was a really like compelling discussion. Yes. I don't know what did you guys think about that?
That was my next thing. I thought that was really interesting and really, again, like heartfelt. And these shows are about like extreme privilege, but this was a little window into, in another lens. Some of these women may have not, there's a dynamic of a woman with, the situation that Sutton was in, where she seemed to really be trapped and be, not have a lot of options and felt really a prisoner in her situation. And that came through really clearly and is important to remember. And I think you see that with lots of other people, but it's not like the fun side of this stuff. It's not what is always highlighted. I think of Taylor and what was happening in her. Well, that was physical abuse. So there was right. I think, right. And just all sorts of horrible stuff. So I'm sure that's happening. And it's masked by wealth oftentimes and the glibness of these shows. So it's important to sort of remember. And when those things come out, it's interesting, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, totally. I saw some posts on social media, and I don't know how they dug this up, but I want you guys to guess how much Sutton receives in spousal support.
Oh yeah. Didn't they have that?
I thought she said it. Isn't it like
It was
I feel like she said it, and it was like 35,000 a month or something. No,
I think it was 300,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's crazy. That is a lot of money.
I mean,
but she also has her store.
Yeah. Yeah. What other highlights did you have, Sandy?
Let's see. I'm kind of like, obviously I'm excited for the Kyle storyline. Like, that's going to be interesting. And we've seen it all sort of in the news and all these rumors. So it sounds like they're really getting into it. So looking forward to that. Yeah, I was listening to Erica's sort of therapy session, etc., trying to figure out where I'm at on her. She was pretty interesting the last couple of seasons with her reactions to all of the Tom Girardi scandal stuff. But I think we're kind of over it. I don't know if there's anywhere else to go on that with her. And it sounds like she's probably going to try to make some sort of storyline out of making amends or something. I'm not sure. I'm interested in both of your takes on that. I definitely noted when her therapist suggested she try empathy, she seemed extremely perplexed on how one would get that. So I like that moment.
I love that too. I absolutely loved how she was like, how does one do an empathy? Like a Blade Runner replicant or something. So, like, feel for others. What is love? It was so great. I loved Erica in this episode. I thought it was so great how she's like her defense for her the way she talked about Dorit's marriage is like, I was being a showman, and they show it, and she was absolutely being a showman, and they're like, that's not an excuse, and then she puts on a magnificent display of like humility and crying and excusing herself. A showman's magnificent display, really, and he completely gets out of it by being such a good showman. Yeah, she's great. Also, when her therapist is like, no, she asked her therapist, like, you know, if he dies in prison, will it go away? The feeling bad, and she's like, then you'll just start a new process of grieving, and she's like, oh, damn it.
So you guys think that she has like bandwidth on this to keep being compelling on this same journey?
I think that, I think that it's going to be, I am curious to see what she makes of it. I have similar, apprehensions as you that it might not be interesting, but from what we've seen so far, I was pleasantly surprised. Like, I was not exactly looking forward to another season of her talking about Tom. It did feel like it ran its course, but I think she's like on a compelling journey to, like, she's basically starting from less than zero, and to see what she can kind of make from that. Like, she's starting from less than zero, both in a kind of a financial situation, but also a social situation with Lisa gone, or Lisa Rinna gone. She's doesn't really have a lot in the way of allies. She's kind of on an island. So that is going to be interesting for me to watch, to see what she can make in terms of the kind of the social alliances, because to me, she doesn't actually seem like someone that is very like she's a puppet master, but she's not really good at forging new friendships and bonds, which is what she needs to do in this situation in order to excel. Like, Erica's at her best when she has people that will she can control and manipulate and do her bidding, but she doesn't have any of that right now. She's iced out. So we're going to have to see her play a new kind of game, and that, it occurs to me that might be exciting.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm looking forward to that too. And I just love watching Erica too, because she's got that psychopathic edge to her that like real superstars have. It's like watching Michael Jordan in The Last Dance. It's not that you relate to him. It's just that there's like a certain like fascinating inhuman quality that's so watchable.
Yeah. Totally. What other highlights did you have, Sandy?
I think that was about it. I mean, the Eagle Woman scene was, I don't know if I have any comments per se. Every single person on that cast had some rude comments for Eagle Woman before they even got started. They were not being very nice to her, laughing at her name, etc. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Typical healing journey scene, I guess.
Yeah, I was wondering whether this person was actually like Indigenous or if it was just like, because we see a lot of people come on and like just blatantly appropriate a culture in order to like scam people. So my initial thought that was that that's what this was, but I don't know. Then eventually it kind of seemed like maybe she's authentic in some way. So I don't know. I had to Google her, and she does claim to have Indigenous heritage. So yeah, I thought it was weird how they handled it on the show, because she was definitely treated as a complete joke, and they gave her like this like very goofy edit. But yeah, I definitely a weird scene.
Yeah, I just love all these faith healers. I just think they've got to figure it out. And I'm taking notes. I'm learning how to become one. I want to. It does seem kind of low effort. Her thing. It's like, we'll walk in a circle, then you'll sit down and talk, and then you'll hug, and that'll be the thing. Her thing kind of feels like a replacement kindergarten teacher. But I'm sure that this is that it's a great gig, and I think it's really awesome that they find an audience for these gigs, and I think it rules. It's great.
And we'll see you on there one day.
I hope
we'll see you on one of the next franchises. I cannot wait to hear your angle for healing.
Dylan, what highlights did you have?
That's really basically what I wanted to say. I'm also really excited to see more of Kyle Richards' storyline, and also just shout out to Kyle Richards because it's Halloween, and she is the queen of Halloween. Star of the original Halloween movie, and star, a key performer in the original Halloween movie. So yeah, shout out to Halloween Queen Kyle, and also if you're getting into Kyle Richards' early work, which you definitely should do for non-creepy reasons, you should not overlook Eaten Alive from 1976, which is a masterful Tobe Hooper movie where Kyle Richards plays another frightened little girl who has to escape from a crocodile underneath a shady East Texas hotel run by a madman with a scythe. And it's just a brilliant, brilliant film. She was in The Car too in 1977, which is another really good horror movie. She had a better horror movie resume than most horror movie scream queens before she was 10 years old. So it's the season for that. Yeah, let's just a shout out to a great horror icon.
Yeah, big time. I think we touched on most of my highlights from Beverly Hills as well. I did think it was funny that Dorit is bringing up this robbery that happened 2 or 3 seasons ago again, and her PTSD that she had, because when this happened, it seemed very much like something that didn't actually happen. And the fact that she's still pulling this out as something that she's affected by is, it seems really funny to me, because it's always been treated as this big joke of a robbery. So, but yeah, I appreciated Dorit's work in the confessionals. I think that's something that she does really well, and she has continued to do really well in the first episode of this season. Just the impression that we got of Erica the showman and in the confessional booth was really good with the hair flips and everything. So shout out to Dorit. I think there was a lot of people that were a bit on the fence as to whether or not she should be returning this season, but I'm glad to see her. I think she's a great housewife. Before we close things out here, we have a huge batch of new taglines, not just Beverly Hills, but we've also got Miami and Potomac. Dylan, you're going to be gone for a few weeks. So I want to go through all of these while we've got all three of us here.
All right. Let's try to do rapid fire. Let's plow through this.
Okay, yeah. Let's dive into Beverly Hills. Are you guys familiar with these taglines? Like, did we hear them at the beginning of the show? Okay.
Did we? I can't remember. I don't think so.
They never do it on the first episode, right? It's always the second episode.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll read the taglines. We can rate it, and then I'll tell you, or then you can guess who it is. So the first tagline I've got here is, I may act for a living, but I never fall for a bad performance.
I guess that's
is that Kyle?
Oh, Sandy's right. It's Garcelle. What's your rating on this, Sandy?
Oh, I hate doing the first one because I don't know how the other ones are gonna be good or bad. 6 seems okay. I don't know.
Okay.
I give it a 2 because I feel like the 2 clauses don't match up. Like if you act for a living, why would that make you more likely to fall for a bad performance, right? Because you're saying I may act for a living, but I don't fall for a bad performance. I feel like that there's a mismatch there.
That is true, but that's literally like the bread and butter of these taglines. All of them are like
sure.
I'm gonna give this a 4. I think like it's just table stakes. It's not terrible, but it's not fantastic. Okay. The best part about losing everything is getting it all back.
Erica, right? No?
Bingo, yeah. Dylan, what's your rating?
I do like that it's like really cocky. That's cool. It's not especially colorful or interesting, but it's got that cockiness that I like. So let's go with a 7.
Okay, Sandy?
I'm going to give it a 6 as well.
Okay. I'm going to give it a 4. I think that it's, about the same. Fashion is my language and I speak it fluently.
Ooh, who is it Dorit? Or is it Sutton?
Yeah.
It's Dorit.
Yeah. What do you think, Sandy?
I'm going to give that one a 7 because it's more, what's the word? I guess cocky, but in a sort of slightly delusional way, which I appreciate from Dorit.
Yeah. Dylan?
It seems to excuse itself in a way by like claiming that actual language isn't her language. So you're making excuses in advance. I'll say that's a 4.
Yeah. I'm gonna give this a 6. I think I feel like it's trying to call back to the fact that when she first joined the franchise, she had like all sorts of accents that were coming out at random. Like she couldn't decide on what accent she was going to speak with. I feel like it's trying to call back to that, but it's not doing it very effectively. But it's still kind of fun. So yeah, I think a 6 is fair for that. I may put you to sleep for a living, but I always keep one eye open.
That's Crystal.
Wait, what's her job?
No?
What? Who
Not
else?
Crystal.
What? I thought she was like an anesthesiologist or something. Wait, who the heck else puts you to sleep for a living?
This is newcomer Anne Marie Wiley.
Okay, well, thank goodness it was the newcomer.
Yeah.
I was like,
Curveball. Yeah.
Because I was gonna, if Dorit hadn't already gone, I would say it was her because she puts people to sleep with her long-winded sentences. But okay.
Yeah, Sandy, what do you think about this one?
Can you say it again? I already forgot it.
I may put you to sleep for a living, but I always sleep, or sorry, I may put you to sleep for a living, but I keep one eye open.
It's another one that doesn't make sense, I guess. It's not like she puts herself to sleep and then keeps one eye open. Like putting someone else to sleep has nothing to do with her keeping one eye open. So but I think that's good. So I'll give that I don't know, another 6. 6 is my number today.
All right, Dylan?
I give it a 1. Do you really want to debut in an entertainment franchise and say, I put you to sleep for a living?
Yeah.
Not the right look.
Yeah, true. I was going to give this a 4. I think, it's on the lower side of things. Okay, we got 2 more from Beverly Hills. Who needs a knight in shining armor when you have your own horse?
Oh, well, that's Sutton. She got a horse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's our rating here, Dylan?
If she just keeps talking about having a horse the whole season, I think that's funny. I'll give it a 6.
Sandy?
I don't know. Like, I wish I had started with all of them lower. Like, none of these are good so far. Let's just put it that way. My 6 also equals a 3. Yeah. I'm gonna give it a 4. I don't like that one.
Okay. And finally, it's hard to outrun rumors, but luckily I'm in better shape than ever.
That's the kind of stuff I like, just like an awkward metaphor that is just like a boast at the same time. Like that's good shit to me. I like that. Let's give it a 9. Very positive 9. On that. Yeah.
Okay. Sandy?
Yeah, I'll give it a 7. It hits a few of the points we like, but what were really good taglines? I don't know. We need some. These are not impressing me overall.
Yeah. I liked Sutton's actually. I don't think I gave it a rating. I was going to put that as an 8. Who needs a knight in shining armor when you have your own horse? I kind of like that. This Kyle one, I'd also put at about an 8. I think those 2 are the best of the batch. Okay, let's move into Real Housewives of Miami or Potomac. Which one do you guys want to go with first?
Miami. Okay, that's what I'm more excited about.
Okay, so first off, we've got hard times are temporary, but all be fabulous forever.
I mean, I don't know who that is, and it's not that good. I mean, I'll be fabulous forever is actually like a fun, cocky sentence, but there isn't a good lead up to it that makes me appreciate it enough. So whoever it is, I'm going to give it like a 5. You know what? It's all right.
Okay, Sandy?
Yeah, I'll give it a 4. I'm going to be less forgiving this round. I'm starting again. It's the 2 like clauses or whatever when it still doesn't really relate. Like, it's really nice when you get one that like it's a punchline. Like, here's one I love. Just side note, in New York, is it Bryn? Where it's like, I love to laugh, make me mad, and I'll date your dad. That's like so good. That's one that's really good. So just as like, that's my bar. That's a 10. Anyway, what did I say? 4 or 3?
4. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give this one, I guess a 3 as well. I think it's unremarkable. That's Gertie, by the way.
Okay.
Take me off my throne and I'll bring down the kingdom.
I like how intense it is. That's good. It's got that epic quality to it, which is fun. It's simple, but it's got like a fun, intense, epic feel to it. So I like it. That's like a 7 for me.
Yeah, I think a 7 seems fair.
Yeah,
Sandy?
I think it's a 7, and I've absolutely no idea. It's interesting how generic these are so far compared to the last round.
Yeah.
Is that true? Like,
so
I'm not as familiar with Miami, but no idea.
Yeah, so Gertie's is a reference to, I guess we're getting her story about, she's got cancer this season. So that's the hard times reference.
That sucks.
This tagline is Lisa. And so I guess the throne is maybe the house, but I would have expected castle instead of throne. Like, kick me out of my castle and I'll bring down the kingdom would have been better for this. Right? Because she got kicked out of the house by Lenny.
Yeah. Is Lenny, what is Lenny known as? Is it like the King of boob jobs or something. Is there any reference there that's relevant or not? I can't remember.
Maybe there's going to be something involving a toilet in this season.
I think Lisa's is like good and intense. There's room for improvement. I would have liked Castle as opposed to Throne. But maybe there's something else there. Okay, so we've also got Don't Let the Private Plane Fool You. This girl always stays grounded.
Yeah, that's again, it's kind of simple enough that it could be anybody, but it's good. Like it still works. It's got the pun is a pretty good pun. I like the pun. That's a 7 for me.
Yeah, it's decent. I'll give it a 6. Don't know who it is.
This one is Dr. Nicole. So I guess we saw in the preview she's getting a plane or something like that. Her husband's getting a plane. My life is like a song, and I always sing with pride.
Is that Adriana? Is she in this season?
No, so both her and Marisol still don't have their... What are they holding this? Like a flamingo or something? I don't know.
A cocktail.
They don't have.
I think they hold just a little pile of cocaine.
But but her and Marisol were like super prominent.
Out a key.
They were super prominent last season. So they weren't holding anything, but they were like more involved than some of the actual housewives, I felt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand why they don't have why they're not full time. It doesn't make sense.
Marisol, just a little quick side note, is going to be somebody who's going to be hard to watch, not watch differently after the Vanity Fair article about like alcohol abuse in the show, because she's one of the most like clearly full on alcoholics on these shows.
Yeah, totally. So that this tagline, my life is like a song, I always sing it with pride, is Julia. I don't really get the connection here because I don't think she's got like a musical background at all.
It's kind of like, it's not the right kind of cocky for me. It's just too like, it's storybook-ish in kind of a lame way.
It's very lame.
It's not working for me. I'll give it like a 3.
I'm going to give this one a 7 because of its lameness.
All right.
Oh, interesting. I give this a 1. This is a grandma tagline. This is not it's not real grandmas of Miami. Come on.
Yeah. Julia's not beating the nice old woman allegations. Not old. I didn't call her old. She's in the prime of her life.
No, she's got like sweet grandma vibes for sure though.
Yeah, exactly. She wears like muumuus and stuff. She's like,
she likes goats.
More like kind stoned aunt vibes. She's like somebody's kind stoned aunt.
I'm the Cuban doll and Miami is my dream house.
Alexia?
Yeah, I feel like that's Alexia,
Yeah, totally.
So that's an okay one.
Okay, yeah, I feel like she's kind of going for like Barbie vibes. Yeah, that's fine. It's a 6. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's a 6.
Yeah, I think 6 seems fair. Finally, we've got Larsa. I don't need to keep score because I'm always winning.
Okay, so I'm assuming the keeping score is a reference to the fact that she's dating Michael Jordan's son.
And used to date
and used
to be married to
Scottie Pippen and is now dating his former co-worker's son. But that's the only thing that's kind of giving it a little bit of color. Otherwise, it's another one that's like pretty simple, feels pretty boilerplate. I'll give it a 5. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think this is about a 5 for me as well.
I'm gonna give it a 4. It's not that interesting. I would love to know the all-time best taglines. We should do that sometime. Come with our favorites
like
all-time, all franchises. Yeah. Anyway.
Power rankings.
Yeah, We should do a draft, like you know how if you're in a fantasy league, you draft taglines.
We could do a whole show
we'll have
for
to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so finally we've got Real Housewives of Potomac. We'll start off with I'm no angel, but give me some grace and you'll learn to adore me.
That's a weird one, man. It has like there's like it feels like there's at least two different like somewhat religious references happening there. Give me some grace and you'll learn to adore me. That is a strange phrase. I think I like it. It's odd. That's a 9. That's a 9. It's just a strange thing to say. I really like it.
Any guess as to who this is?
I have no idea.
I'm gonna guess Giselle or Candace. I don't even know who's in the show this time, but yeah, it's Giselle, and I think her like twin daughters are named Angel and Grace. Oh yeah,
so I think
that ruins
of course. Yes.
I knew that would ruin it for you.
Yeah. Angel, Grace, and Adore.
Oh,
no, that's her three
right.
names. Yes. Yeah. Oh my God, how did we not get that? No. Or you got it, but yeah.
Oh, she got all 3 of them.
Okay, then that's really good. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 9 as well because it's she found a way to name her 3 kids in it. Yeah. Of course it's weird.
Now that I know it was just like a Mad Lib filling in the spaces, I don't like it anymore.
But you need the foresight to name your kids like words that will get like you can put into a Mad Lib like that. So
you're obliged you wrote the tagline first, then had the children after and named them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She's had this one in the back pocket. Giselle has some of my all-time favorite taglines, or at least like the meta of her having her first like 4 seasons of the show. She always incorporated the word on the street into her tagline, which was really good.
Yes, I think you're right. She has really good ones.
Yeah. Next up, we've got you don't have to dig for gold when you shine this bright.
Who's being called a gold digger then? But it's fine. It's okay. Yeah. Again, the transition between the first clause and the second is kind of weird, and I like it for that reason. So yeah, I give that a 7, whoever it is.
Yeah, I'll give it a 5. Who has an older...
This is a 7.
Go ahead.
This is a 7 for me, and it's Ashley Darby, the legend herself.
Oh, of course.
Okay, next is I just took a DNA test, and it turns out I 100% don't care.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a really good one. That's a 9.
Yeah.
That's what is that a reference? Is that a Lizzo?
Somebody who's
yeah, I'm not sure if this is a reference to anything.
Right. Doesn't Lizzo have like I'm 100%
yeah,
that bitch
it's from
or
Lizzo,
something like that?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they just ripped off Lizzo.
Yeah, you gain points for plagiarism.
As you said, that's how the world works, right?
Yeah. Sandy, did you have a rating on this one?
Ooh, do I like the plagiarism? Yeah, I guess I like the boldness of the plagiarism. I'll give it an 8. And
I think 8's fair.
It has some punch to it because they stole it from Lizzo. But anyway.
Yeah. When they go low, I just hit a high note.
I feel like that's Candace. Have we had Candace yet? No, not yet.
Well, who was the last one?
Yeah.
Oh, it was Robin.
Oh, okay. Right.
Of course, she would steal someone else's content. Oh my God.
Love a mixed metaphor. I feel like I'm getting more generous as I go along, but that's an 8 for me.
Sandy?
That's Candace, and it's not true if it's her. And for that, I'll give her an 8.
Yeah, I think that this is a 7 for me. And yeah, definitely Candace. Okay. Nigeria raised me, LA made me, and Potomac will remember me.
I like including like a whole biography in your tagline. I think that's really cool. It's very broad. Doesn't have a pun or a joke, but has a bit of punch to it. I'll give it a 6.
Yeah. Okay. Sandy?
Yeah, I think that's a 5 for me. I guess that's
okay.
Oh, what's her name?
Anyway. So this is actually a newcomer, Nika. Yeah, I think I would put this at about a 4. Next we've got, if you're going to test this professor, be prepared to fail.
That's Wendy. I remember.
Yeah.
Sure. Test professor fail. You hit 3 like words. 3 school related words there in like one sentence. So that's like good efficiency.
Next up we have, it doesn't matter the size of our home. I'm always the queen of this castle.
That's weak for me. I don't like that. I mean, I assume there's going to be, I don't know who that is. I assume there's going to be talk about their home. But yeah, I'm the queen of this castle is just not an inventive or interesting boast. I think that's boring. It's a 2.
Yeah, this is I think this is about a 3 for me. Sandy, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3. Not offering too much here.
Yeah. So this was Mia, and if you remember her performance on the last reunion, she had a very sketchy business arrangement so I really would have liked her to play with that. I feel like she had a lot that she could have done, and this didn't hit the mark. So last one we've got, I don't ride the fence, honey. I am the fence. You ride me.
10.
Yeah, that's a 10.
Kicks ass.
Yeah.
It's a mixed metaphor. It goes where you didn't expect it to go. It's vulgar. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's perfect.
You delivered it well, Craig.
Yeah, this is a 10. So 10 10s across the board on this one for the Grand Dame Karen.
Karen, see? Thank you, Karen, for giving us the one really good tagline of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to put a smile on your face like that.
Does it for this episode. We hope that. Sorry, I lost you there.
I think I'm on an insane delay, so I'll just be quiet.
Oh, okay. That about does it for this episode of Bravo Outsider. Be sure to join us next week. We'll be covering all the Housewife action. Dylan's going to be gone for a couple weeks, so enjoy your vacation. Do you want to let everyone know where they can keep up with your travels?
No, you can't keep up with my travels. This is the last time though that I can make the Halloween season transition into talking about my other shows. I'm gonna miss having this easy transition. Hey, it's Halloween, guys. You want to hear about horror movies? You can. I used to do a show about horror movies called Mind Over Splatter. You can find that wherever pods are cast. And I also have a limited 4-part series about cryptozoology and American history called The Devil You Don't, which is also very spooky. After this episode, I'm just going to have to rely on Kyle Richards as my only transition to talking about horror movies, I think.
Awesome. Sandy, do you want to let everyone know where they can find you?
I am on Instagram at Corporeal Curios.
Awesome. And our guest, Tim, who had to drop for technical reasons, don't bother looking him up. He didn't bother watching the show, so don't bother looking for him. Until next week, keep on wifing.